What is up, y'all? I'm going to talk a little bit about the Denver Broncos draft class. I'm kind of handling the AFC West right now. And I met Drew Lock at the airport, actually, because I was flying home to Philadelphia on Saturday morning, and Drew Lock was wearing his tie, and he was headed out to Denver for an early morning flight, and that was really cool. Drew Lock is a guy that one of my favorite quarterbacks in the class. Great arm strength, incredible arm talent, can make wow throws. The best throws that Drew Lock made were even in his junior year under Heupel. He throws the ball 75 yards in the air. I mean, go back and watch Georgia, Missouri. If you're a Denver fan, go back to his 2017 highlights. That's where Drew Lock was even making more special throws. Last year, it was more relying on his running game, playing in a very structured, conservative Derek Dooley offense. Drew Lock still made good throws. He played great against Florida last year, against Tennessee. At the end of the year, Drew Lock continued to get better. And against Oklahoma State in the bowl game, he was good. They lost the game, but again, he was pretty good versus the Cowboys. Junior year, Drew Lock, even his sophomore year against Georgia, he lit Georgia up. And if not for a Jacob Eason touchdown at the buzzer on 4th and 10, Missouri would have beaten Georgia Drew Lock's sophomore year. Now, there were games where Drew Lock was completely lost. Against LSU and against Florida, he was terrible in his sophomore year, not very good. Junior year, he got off to a terrible start. He never beat South Carolina, I think, in any of his years of playing. So, and he never beat Georgia either. So, with Drew Lock, there are some games where he just is kind of idle and you want to see him show more emotion, but this kid has a really quick release. This kid can put the ball wherever he wants to. He's athletic. He can get outside the pocket, but the kid's arms, the throws that this kid makes, you just won't see them for probably about 5 or 10 years. They are the rarest of the rarest throws. They're like a Trevor Lawrence level of throw. The throw against Texas in the second quarter of that bowl game where he dropped it into like a 5'8 receiver into a bucket kind of throw, Drew Lock will drop balls into the bucket. Against Arkansas, he's hitting like 70-yard bombs like it's routine. Drew Lock is an amazing deep ball thrower, and when you look at Denver, you have Joe Flacco, who ironically kind of plays like Drew Lock, except that Joe Flacco is not as athletic. He can't extend like Drew Lock, and Joe Flacco was kind of idle in his years with Baltimore. But I'll tell you, oh gosh, dang it, the freaking trunk just opened up. But I'll tell you this about Drew Lock. He's going to be even more dangerous than Joe Flacco. And Joe Flacco, if you went in a gym and watched Joe Flacco throw the ball, he's one of the best throwers in NFL. He might even be a top 20 thrower in NFL history in terms of just how talented he is throwing the ball. He can throw the ball about 75 yards. So, and by the way, in training camp, Denver fans, or in the mini camp, Joe Flacco was so good that Vic Fangio, who was in Baltimore when Flacco was balling, was like, Joe Flacco, Joe's looking so damn good right now that we don't need to get a quarterback in the first round. We don't really need it at all. Denver, then in the first round, and this is all from Peter King, who does an excellent job, Denver said at 10 that they were going to select a Devin Bush, but he wasn't a perfect scheme fit. And I selfishly like that they didn't take Devin Bush because I'm a huge fan of Josie Jewell out of Iowa. 5th round pick. I want Josie Jewell under Vic Fangio to become like a Luke Kuechly. Like, I have dreams of Josie Jewell becoming so good because at Iowa, he was one of my favorite football players. The outlaw, Josie Jewell. Brandon Marshall leaves, so now Josie's going to take a hold of this defense. He's going to be awesome, okay? Scangarello, I love the staff. I love Scangarello, Rich Scangarello. He was with Kyle Shanahan. Getting Drew Lock in the second round, unbelievable. Drew Lock, amazing thrower of the football, needs to work on consistency for sure. needs to work on his competitiveness. On third down, Drew Lock needs to have high expectations that he's not leaving the field. He needs to get a little bit of that dog in him, like Tom Brady. Tom Brady's pissed when he can't convert a third down. Drew Lock, it's time for him to up his expectations and really be a special player. Drew Lock, he can be like a Mahomes special player in this NFL. The upside is freaking awesome, and you got him in the second round, and now he's sitting behind Joe Flacco, a quarterback that's kind of similar to him and has a huge arm, and Joe Flacco couldn't have been a better mentor to Lamar Jackson. So Flacco will play about 2 years, and I think Denver did awesome. They get Draymond Jones, who in the middle of the field, he's tremendous. He's like Adolphus Washington out of Ohio State. He's going to be a guy in the middle of the field. He's going to stuff the run. He's going to get to the quarterback. He's excellent player, especially that DeMonte Pico, I think, is gone. What do you have? Adam Gotsis? Well, you have Bradley Chubb. You have all these other guys that are there. And I think Denver is going to be... Denver killed it. Dalton Reisner, my favorite tackle in the whole class. Got him in the second round. I love how Elway drafts. I love last year's draft. People love to hate on John Elway. John Elway got Cortland Sutton, who, by the way, is even better than people would expect him to be. John Elway also got the wide receiver, Deshaun Hamilton from Penn State, who was really good at the Senior Bowl. Philip Lindsay last year, Bradley Chubb last year. I mean, what more do you want out of a draft class than what John Elway was able to get you? I mean, Garrett Bowles, he's really good. Last year I think he even got some cornerbacks. He got Isaac Yiadom. He's got some cornerback prospects that can still turn up and be really good. So John Elway's flat out awesome. And Dalton Reisner, Drew Lock, Jermont Jones. I think it's Jermont Jones or Jermont. Yeah, it's Jermont Jones. And I'll tell you this too. First round, he got Noah Fant. Now, I don't love Noah Fant, but Noah Fant with Joe Flacco is going to be a hybrid, and he is going to be like an Austin Hooper. He is going to be like an Evan Ingram. He's going to get a lot of catches. He's going to be flat out good. He's going to be a fantasy stud. He's going to be great in the passing game. Now, hopefully Jake Butt can be healthy so that you can get kind of a blocker. Now, I like my style of tight end. I like the TJ Hawkinson where you can play him like all 3 downs, because my problem is with Noah, or my questions with Noah, can he block? And that's very important. You don't want to build a soft football team, especially when you have such a small, shifty back, such as Philip Lindsay. So it's up to Booker and Freeman to compete. And listen, you're playing in the AFC West, and you're playing in the West, and this is one of the toughest divisions in football in recent memory. So for Denver to make a wild card run, I have confidence in Joe. I like this football team a lot. If you make the playoffs, it truly is a great accomplishment with how competitive the AFC is. Because I'll list the AFC right now. You have New England, Colts. In your own division, you have Mahomes, who just got a wide receiver. To kind of replace Tyreek Hill, because I don't think Hill's coming back after all the off-the-field things with him. Mecole Hardman is a fast receiver. And at Georgia, he wasn't allowed to be so special because that was a running-based offense with Chubb and Sony and DeAndre. So, Kansas City, Mahomes. The Chargers, I'm going to talk about the Chargers in a little bit here on my video, here on my AFC West reactions. The Raiders, the Jacksonville Jaguars, Buffalo. Yeah, I could just give it all away right now. Getting a wild card is brutal in the AFC. Jacksonville got a lot better. Nick Foles is a good quarterback. I love what they're trying to do. I love the risk that they took. The Buffalo Bills, the Steelers, possibly the Cleveland Browns with their talent that they have. So, an 11-5 might not even make the dang playoffs. I know you're going to have to get to 10-6 to make a playoffs. It's going to be crazy. And then you're playing in that division where you play the Chargers twice, you play the Chiefs twice, And then Oakland had a really good draft. Oakland is very much improved with Antonio Brown, Derek Carr, Josh Jacobs. Oakland's defense is better with Farrell, LaMarcus Joyner, Abram, the cornerbacks, Garyon Conley, and the cornerback, Trayvon Mullen. It's going to be harder to play Oakland this year. And that's not saying much, but it is. So for Denver, though, they're doing the best that they can. And they got a great quarterback for a long-term quarterback option. You have Dalton Risner, who is he's very, very flexible as an offensive lineman. He can play guard. He can play center. He's like Cody Whitehair out of Kansas State, who played at Kansas State. So Dalton Risner is going to be a talent, and he is a great teammate, and he can block, he can move, he can do everything. You have Garrett Bowles, who has a big make-it-or-break-it year this year, Garrett Bowles, but I still like Garrett Bowles. I like this roster a lot. It's going to come down to Joe being elite. It's going to come down to Vaughn and Bradley being awesome. Vic Fangio coaching defense, Scangarello. I like this team too much not to make the playoffs. I love this football team. I love the characters. I love the team. I love the attitude. I like Vic Fangio hire even more. I love Scangarello. I like Joe Flacco so much more than just about anybody. I think Flacco's going to have a huge year this year. The wide receivers are really good. Emmanuel, Sutton. I mean, this team, man. Deshaun Hamilton, Noah Fant. This team is too good. This team is talented. This team should have playoff expectations. This team is going to make the leap. Great job, John Elway. I love how Elway drafts. He's a great evaluator. Just because he drafted Paxton and just because he drafted Simeon, people only talk about evaluators in terms of quarterbacks. This guy is a good talent evaluator. He's doing a really good job.